What's up again there, guys? Brian here at 3TG, here to bring you another episode of questions for answer all the questions that you guys have sent me over the past week. We got another much shorter episode this time, so due to the fact that if you check the comment sections for the last video, there were certainly a number of questions that I just felt it would be easier to answer there. So, be sure to check your notifications to see if your question was one of them, if you don't hear it in this particular video. We got 6 questions this time around, and I believe only one new person, I believe. I may be wrong, but who knows. Let's start off real simple with the first question coming from Phantom Cities. He wants to know, what was my favorite year of PlayStation gaming? I have no idea how to really answer that. I can't think of a specific year, so I guess if I had to pick one, probably maybe 2001 or 2002. I would just say probably the first year I ever owned a PlayStation console, which was PlayStation 2, and I was in middle school at the time, so I guess that was the year that started for me, so I guess that would be my favorite year of PlayStation gaming. Next question comes from Big Mac Cause, and you want to know, since there's been rumors of a Resident Evil 3 remake, what other Resident Evil games would I personally like to be remade, and also, what one would be a good choice for Capcom to do from an industrial point of view? I can't really answer that first point because I don't really know what Capcom wants to do from an industrial point of view. I mean, they can remake any Resident Evil game and do it over as long as it makes them money. But personally, I don't really have much of a... I can't really say which ones I would like them to remake. I personally don't think any of them need to be remade. I mean, I guess Resident Evil 2 was probably the only one of the originals that I actually was interested in, even if I thought the game was unplayable. But like Resident Evil 1, I certainly wouldn't want them to remake that, because my biggest issue with Resident Evil 2 was the entire first third. But when you really go back and look at the first game, that's pretty much what the entire game was. So if I absolutely despise the first third of Resident Evil 2, I would have ended up completely hating all of Resident Evil 1. And then with Resident Evil 3, I mean, if they remake it, okay, but the only other one I can think of that's kind of in that quality is maybe Code Veronica, but again, that's another game that, if they remake it, okay, I'll give it a chance. But if they never remake it, then I'm not really going to complain about it, because I'd never even played the first Code Veronica game, and I didn't have much interest in it anyway. I mean, the only time I ever got a chance to play something similar to Code Veronica was in those on-rail shooters, I believe, in Dark Side Chronicles. But yeah, I mean, if I had to pick, those would be my choices. Next question on the list comes from All-Star Gamer Punk. You want to know, how do I feel about DMC2 and 4 switching places in the timelines? No, it's 3, 1, 2, 4, 5. I thought this was a cheap tactic. That was absolutely cheap, because now you can't explain how Dante got back from hell. And that was kind of a really, really big deal. And I'll be honest, I don't really care how good Resident Evil 5 is. If they don't even acknowledge Lucia, I'm deducting some points, because Lucia is to this day my favorite Devil May Cry female sidekick of Dante. I like her a lot more than Trish. I like her a lot more than Lady. So to completely not acknowledge her, I'll be really pissed off. I mean, especially if she's... if they're moving that game so far out back in the timeline, this brings up so many questions. Like, Dante's Magini form. How come he couldn't do that in 4? Because we don't even know if he's going to have it in 5. I mean, it just messes up a lot of things. I mean, Devil May Cry 5, at least for me, is already in a very, very bad place. I mean, I'm still going to get it. I already have it pre-ordered, but still, it's just... This just seems like a really cheap tactic from my point of view. Next question comes from Santiago Scarpino. He wants to know, is there any TV series that I tried to watch as it came out but ultimately couldn't keep up or fell behind? Yeah, there's one that comes to mind, but it's not that I couldn't keep up or fell behind. I just lost interest in it, and that was probably Gotham. Dumb concept. Dumb how everything has played out so far from what I've heard. I think I quit watching that maybe 3 episodes in. Like, if you're really going to make all these massive changes, I tell you the one thing I would have done right from the very beginning. I would have killed off Bruce Wayne right at the beginning and just said, we're retelling the whole Gotham story and there will be no Batman. Because I think that the idea of Bruce Wayne as a kid dressing up like Batman, I think is just hilarious. And I was like, once I saw that, I just like, I can't take this seriously. Like, how are all these villains showing up now without a Batman? It's just dumb. I have no idea how this show has even lasted as long as it has, but I think it's in its final season, and good riddance. Next question comes from the Immortal Super Being. You want to know, which Kingdom Hearts 3 world did I like the most? Probably the Toy Story one. I think the Toy Story was probably the only world I was interested in, because I wasn't really interested in Tangled, because I haven't seen Tangled. Wasn't interested in Frozen, because I don't ever want to watch Frozen. Wasn't really interested in Big Hero 6, because I never watched that movie. Monsters Incorporated looked okay. That would probably be a good second. And then we already visited the Pirate World. We already visited Herc's World, so Monsters and Toy Story were really the only two worlds I was excited for. I mean, I was disappointed that they didn't have any surprises, so they pretty much showed us all the worlds we would be going to before the game was even out. So I'm disappointed in that sense. But yeah, I would probably have to say the Toy Story world was probably my favorite. And last question of the episode comes from Demetrius Puffer. You want to know, do I think Virgil could survive all 9 cycles of hell from Dante's Inferno? Probably not, simply because in order to even get through the 9 cycles of hell, you kind of need to have holy magic. And I don't even know. You see, that's the problem with Devil May Cry. We don't really know what kind of demonic power that is. Is it like religion based, or is it just evil? Or, but yeah, there's definitely a number of enemies and a number of sections that can only be hurt with holy magic. And as far as we are concerned, Virgil and Dante and all those folks don't have any access to heavenly magic or heavenly spells or anything. So chances are he probably wouldn't even make it through the first circle. I mean, it's not so much you just go around killing demons. You generally have to have a good soul. And when you think about it, it's like you can't even really be down there unless you're dead, because that's kind of how, I mean, spoiler alert, Dante's dead the whole time. So yeah, I personally don't think Virgil could, just because logistically he just doesn't have the means to fight back. Just my personal opinion. And with that, those are all the questions that were sent in for this particular episode. If you guys have any more questions you'd like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below. But make sure to enter me for next Wednesday, roughly around noon, before I start filming the next episode. But also keep an eye on your question in particular, in case, you know, I have to just answer it in the comment section. And make sure you guys remember that it is only one question per person. And so with that said, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time, and I should go.